Chapter 3. A Call for Help. I once thought that there was something wrong with the way our birth order was never properly recorded. There was something unsettling in never knowing, for sure, whether my brother was truly the firstborn and destined to be king, or if it should have been my place to be the heir apparent. Much later in my life, I was convinced that this was a trial I needed to overcome so that I could keep the soul of Estolia with sureness and certainty. Xavier Archimedes Zakarian, Capitulo 86. Once the two men were outside the bedroom door, the doctor said, "I gave her some heavy-duty painkillers. She'll be out like a light in the next few minutes." "I am sorry to ruin your plans for the evening," Leo said. "I came at the urging of my father, who is unable to travel far these days. He received a letter from one of his longtime friends, Peter Cathay, which was impossible to fathom. As I was making plans to visit the United States, my father begged me to check in on his friend. He was worried for him, and I wanted to ease his mind. I wrote to Peter to tell him I would be visiting. I received no response." As Leo led him towards the door at the end of the hall, the doctor said, "From what young Jackie tells me, Peter is phasing in and out of a state of senility or dementia. My father told me that Peter sounded almost suicidal in the letter he wrote. I would value your professional opinion." In the bedroom, an extremely thin man was weeping while he sat on the floor. "I can't keep on like this." He looked up at the two men. "I've got so little time left, and so much of it isn't even my time. I can't bear to think about my poor daughter." Leo helped him to his feet and back to his bed. "You wrote asking my father, Xavier Zakarian, to come and help you. He could not make it, but he sent me." Peter gave a defeated sigh. "I knew it was a long shot. Why should he do it? Why should he take on a burden he doesn't deserve?" "You mentioned you had very little time left," Alan said. "I take it you have a brain tumor?" "Yes. I've already lived 10 months longer than predicted. It can only be days left. Perhaps hours? I love my daughter, but she doesn't deserve this." "What task did you want my father to undertake for you?" Leo asked him. "Oh, well, take care of Jackie, of course. But it's stupid. Why should he? My father would wish to help you. I can speak for him and agree to help you." "You're sure?" he asked. When Leo nodded, the old man seemed to collapse in on himself, as if the tension of his worries about his daughter kept him rigid and taut. "I'm more grateful than you know, to have her future secure." Then he looked up, his expression altered. He screamed, "Who the hell are you?" "Jackie. Out. Get out. Intruders. Jackie." He started to slam the bed on either side of his skeletal legs, and then he quieted down, slumping sideways, and passed out. "Without his medical records I can't be certain," Alan said, "but I'd say days or even hours are all that is left. He might not have any more moments where he is clear-headed. He needs professional care. Do you know of a place where we can get him care? I can make a few phone calls if you like. I'm pretty sure that within the hour I can get him situated in a top-rated nursing home. You'll pay for it?" Leo nodded. "I will stay here and help the young woman and be there for her when her father passes on." The two men left the room and were chatting amiably in the hallway when they heard the unmistakable bang of a firearm. They returned rapidly to the bedroom, remaining in the room only briefly once it was clear what happened. Peter knew he was a burden for his daughter, that he was putting his daughter through hell. When he was certain she would be cared for, he chose to take his own life. "I must check on his daughter," Leo said. She was sleeping on her side, a troubled frown between her brows. The pills the doctor gave her were doing their magic. The staccato knock on the apartment door was inevitable after the loud report of the firearm. Leo was not at all surprised to find a peace officer on the other side of the door. "Is everything all right here?" said the police officer. He was eyeing the blood-spattered foyer and the blood on the stairs. "I was just preparing to make a phone call to the police," Leo said sadly. "I am afraid that my friend is dead." He accidentally injured his daughter, and then took his own life. The police officer came in and Leo took him upstairs to the bedroom. Alan was standing outside the room. When he shared his identity, the police officer wanted to see the woman too. "Why weren't we called when she was first injured?" he asked after he saw the sleeping woman. The doctor explained the effects of the brain tumor, adding, "Until he killed himself, we considered it to be a matter for medical professionals instead of police." Jackie slept on, under the influence of the pain pills while the coroner came and took her father's body away. Once the doctor left, Leo decided to clean the bedroom as best he could. The cold truth of her father's death could not be avoided, but at least he could assure that she did not have the resulting mess to clean also. Once he finished cleaning the bedroom, he went back down to the ground floor. He saw a neat stack of mail she had obviously been organizing to show her father. Out of curiosity, he looked through the envelopes. Several had ominous final notice in red stamped on them. He grouped together all the envelopes from different sources. Almost 6 months' worth of bills had been ignored. Telephone, water, gas, garbage, milk. The only bill not marked with a final notice was an electricity bill, which had been paid in advance. A well-used bank book told him the rest of the story. With less than $18 in the bank, she was in dire financial straits. Glancing at his watch, he added 6 hours to the local time. It was not too late in the day to call his father. While he waited for the operator to put through the international overseas call, he totaled the bills and had an amount that would be necessary just to keep her from bankruptcy. When his call came through, he picked up the phone. Leo was thankful that his father's infirmities were not of the mind. He sounded robust and healthy. Despite his inability to walk, he was as sharp as ever and likely to live another 30 or more years. "Hello, Father," he said, and then proceeded to outline the events of the day, finishing with a summary of her finances. His father was silent for several seconds. "I am sorry, son, I had no idea what you would be walking into. We must help his daughter. Get her affairs in order as she heals, and when she is recovered, bring her here. I will give some thought as to how we can best help her." Leo hung up after speaking with his father and pulled out a checkbook that would draw on an American bank. He systematically paid each of her bills with a request to close the account. For the rent and utilities, he paid until the end of the month and requested that services be terminated at that point in time. Finally, all the bills were paid, and her financial affairs were in order. If he was going to bring her back to Estolia, she would have to travel via sailboat. There was no way she could tolerate the flight sitting in a regular airline seat. He knew from his explorations that the apartment had only 2 bedrooms. In the living room they had a 2-seater sofa with wooden arms unsuitable to sleep on. Though he cleaned the master bedroom, the mattress was saturated and he could not sleep on it, even if he could bring himself to use a room that had known such a violent act. The only other choice he had was to sleep next to the sleeping beauty herself. He could not just leave her alone and return to his hotel. She was still deeply asleep when he lay on the covers next to her. She would sleep for hours, he reasoned, which meant he could catch a few hours of sleep. Trying to find a comfortable position, he put an arm around her gently. Hopefully she would remain asleep, but perhaps, if she woke up, she would be comforted to experience some human contact and warmth. As he began to nod off to sleep, he decided that they would use the sailboat promise of deity and sail home.